Back, dear viewers, you're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV. And dear viewers, through the long history of Cairo, the city has received many nicknames: the Conqueror, the Victorious, the City of Thousand Minarets, and now a new addition to the list, the capital of the Islamic culture in 2020. The Ministry of Culture launched a culture and artistic program celebrating the Egyptian capital as the capital of Islamic culture. The celebration's aims include spreading the Islamic culture and reviving the culture messages by highlighting the glories of the chosen cities, also spreading the values of coexistence globally. Dear viewers, in this context, we have with us today Monuments Inspector, and we have with us Mr. Yasser Hamdi, and it's a pleasure to have you with us, sir, in today's episode of Nile Cruise, and to know more about this wonderful place for you. A very good day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, let me start off by asking you about, because as Ron has said, the Citadel area, which extends all the way to different districts and neighborhood, including Darb al-Ahmar as well, has had several names throughout history. Tell us more about the importance of this area, the Citadel area.
This area not called the Citadel only, where this area called Islamic area because a lot of Islamic streets here, monuments in different places where we can start here. If we want to do a tour around, we can start from Saladin Square or Salahuddin Square, where a lot of building like Sultan Hassan Madrasa and like Rifa'i Mosque, and we can come in the street to see more building like a famous Sabil called Qaitbay, and also we can see more buildings, Islamic building like Kanibay al-Muhammadi Mosque and the Khanqat Shikhu, and also Sabil Abbasi, where this two important public fountain here, where a lot of people know this place. And also we can see a famous mosque here called Ahmad ibn Tulun Mosque, where this famous mosque not only here, in all of the world, where this considered now the oldest mosque in Egypt, because before this mosque there were two mosques were built, like Amr ibn al-As Mosque and another mosque called Mosque of Al-Askar City, but Amr ibn al-As Mosque mostly the construction now date back to different times, not same period where Amr ibn al-As built his mosque. So this mosque only oldest one for its location, but Amr ibn al-As, Ibn Tulun, the most older mosque in Egypt, and also next to Amr ibn Tulun Mosque, we are now in famous house or famous museum, where this museum called John Jair Anderson Museum, and also have another name called Beter Keretleya, where there was a lady from Crete Island stayed or lived in here, so this house named after. And John Jair Anderson, because there were a British doctor who was lived in here, and he lived between 1935 to 1948, and he was a collector where he collected a lot of pieces from different countries, and he's showing all of his stuff inside this building like a museum now, where this museum consists of two houses, where we are in one of them, and in other side another house. The two houses here, one of them date back to Ottoman period, another one date back to Mamluk period, where was restored by the Egyptian government, but the British doctor, he lived in them, and he left his stuff, and the stuff used like pieces for the public to see, where now this is a museum. So this is too important museum for anyone want to do a tour around Cairo to see this place, where this place have a different culture, where some pieces date back to Islamic times, some pieces date back to or belong to Chinese art, also another pieces belong to Ottoman art, British art, different arts here also. We have also some ancient Egyptian pieces, because I told you before, John Jair Anderson, he was a collector where he collected a different stuff from different countries. So this place too important place in here in this area.
Sir, what is the recent restoration and renovation carried out in this area?
Here, a lot of restoration happened in this area, not only in this location, where you know a famous mosque where we talk about Ibn Tulun restored in 2006. where not only Ibn Tulun, this place also was restored by in cooperation between Egyptian government and the British embassy, because John Jair Anderson, he was a British citizen, so when he lived in here and he showing his stuff now, great contact between the museum and the British embassy, so they did a good restoration for the place here, and a great also protection where they restored the roof, restored some rooms, they were built a garden outside. So from time to another time, the location need a restoration, but now it is conditioned very good.
If we're going to talk about the choice of Cairo being chosen for the Islamic capital of culture of 2020, how do you see this decision and what does this signify?
This is a great decision when you look, sure, Cairo for Islamic culture, sure, and this is the oldest city. Still in good condition, because you know before Cairo there were a lot of capitals like Al Fustat, like Al Askar, like Al Qata'a, but both all of them destroyed. But Cairo still, we have a different culture, so this was a great decision. Where we can have here a different culture, for example, we find some building date back to different times, like Ayyubi time, like Fatimi, like Mamluk, like also for example, Abbasi time, where Ibn Tulun date back to, or founded the dynasty called Tulunian dynasty. This was in time where the Islamic world was ruled by Abbasi dynasty or Abbasi empire. So when we look to this decision, I think this decision is great for Cairo, not only for Cairo, for all of the Egyptian people, for all of the Arabic countries, Islamic world, because this did a big focus for all of the countries to know more about Cairo. And I think Cairo's or the city where have a different culture. What this mean the Islamic culture in the city, complex Islamic culture, where anyone come to Cairo, he can enjoy with different culture, different building style, different periods. So it's a very, very great decision for the city here to call the culture or Islamic culture city for 2020.
So what are the historic areas that left most monuments in Cairo?
Mostly when you look for all of the Islamic area, when we look, for example, from Al Mu'izz Street to Bab Zuwela, where this is called the Islamic Cairo, but we have also another building or another areas outside. So in any place, when you look to Al Azhar area, no, you find a lot of building in Al Azhar area. You find the great construction, you find the mosque, you find also walls, you find gates, you find complex Islamic history. So not only in one area, in many areas, like also when we look to Saladin Citadel and Muhammad Ali Mosque, Sultan Hassan, Rifa'i, and also Ibn Tulun Mosque, Amr ibn al-As Mosque. So from a place to another place, a different culture, different times, different periods.
If we're going to talk about what are the most or the main features that distinguish the Islamic culture or Islamic monuments or architecture in Cairo that is related to the Islamic era, how different is it than any other era?
When you look for the Islamic area or in Cairo, when you look to each place, have a different culture, have a different art, have a different time, different period. So when we look, for example, to the street outside called Saliba Street, where this street in location between Saladin Square or Salahuddin Square to Sayyida Zainab Square, you find a different culture in this street. You find a different building, a different also construction date back to different times. When we look, we find buildings like Madrasa of Sultan Hassan. When we're coming back, or coming in this direction, we find a public fountain called Sabil and Kutab. Sabil, where we know in Middle Ages in Cairo, no water pipes at home. So the public mostly takes the water from public places were built around. So one of them called Qaid Bay, Sabil Qaid Bay. And this for a first floor. Second floor in the building used Kutab. What Kutab mean? Night school for the kids, where the kids every night go where during the Middle Ages went to this place to learn Islamic culture, to study Quran, to study Hadith traditions and Sunnah in these places. When we come in this direction to Sayyida Zainab, we find also another mosque called Qaniban Muhammadi Mosque. We find Khankat. Khankat or Taqiya, this public place was built during the Mamluk time, used for the people who were called Darwish. Darwish were this, some people believed in this a religious man, and he not do a work. He's only stay in a place, and the government giving him clothes, giving him food, giving him sometime money. So they built this to help the poor people, like what we call now homeless, to stay in. And also there was a famous public fountain called Sabil, called Abbas, where this is a famous Sabil here, where also this played an important role again to give the water for the public, where this was built by mother of Abbas Hilmi II to help the people or to giving them a water. And when we coming here, we can see also Shaykhun Sarigat Mash Madrasa and also Madrasat Sarigat Mash, Sinjar and Silar, two tombs were built to Mamluk princes. And also we find the famous mosque where I told you of before, and here where we are now in important house or important museum called John Jair Anderson Museum.
Sir, how did the Egyptian architecture reflect our different civilizations?
Mostly when you look for a house like this, the house, and when you walk around, you can understand how the people lived in this time. So you can know from the rooms, from a plan of the house. For example, when you look to this house, for example, if we want to look how this house reflects the culture, when we go coming here, we can go in by an entrance called bent entrance. What the bent entrance mean? Means this entrance played important role to protect the women inside from the people outside. So here we can know also protection for a women from the public. And when we look around, we find a lot of mashrabiyas. What mashrabiyas mean bay windows, where the women from inside can look to outside, but nobody can know or can see the women inside. Also, when we look to the house here, we find the different locations, like we are or sitting now in a room called summer room, because when you look here, you find the big hall here. Look to the open court to supply this room with air and with fresh air and light on the summer. And other side, we find also a winter room. This is for people to stay in winter time inside the closed room. And also we find haramlik and salamlik. Haramlik is for a women and salamlik for a men, because haramlik from harim, where the women in Arabic language called harim, and salamlik for men, from salam meaning a peace. Also, when we look to another construction outside, we find the mosque, great mosque called Ibn Tulun Mosque, where this mosque also used for religious role, where this mosque too big. So in any way, when we look for this mosque, we can know how the people were a religious people in this time, so they need a big mosque to go in.
Now, the civilization also differs. There's different eras for the Islamic period, and to most of the people, they're not very much aware of the difference. How can you distinguish them? Is it the texture? I mean, was it an era for marble and an era for wood? Well, I mean, how do you differentiate the different Islamic civilizations throughout the eras?
When you look for us, we call this fine art, or for the small pieces art. When we look, for example, for a marble, when we look for three colors in the marble, like white and the black and the red marble together, we can know this date back to Mamluk time. When we see, for example, or in construction, like this construction built of limestone, and they look to the construction around, you find courses from the stone in a black color and another in white color. We call this ablak. This was more popular in Mamluk time also. Same thing also for different colors for limestone, where we find also red color with white color. This is called mushahar, also date back to Mamluk period. So from time to another time, when we look to the fine art around, we can know this date back to any time. For example, in front of us here, a small column here, where from it is designed, we can know this date back to Greek Roman period. So from place to another place, when you look, you can know how, or the art date back to in any times, but in any way here we have a different pieces where we find some pieces date back to ancient Egyptian time. We have another pieces date back to date back to Muhammad Ali dynasty. Also, we find the Chinese art. So from a place to another place, when we walk around, we can know this date back to any time or any period.
Okay, Sir, Beit al-Kiritleya is considered to be one of the remarkable examples of Muslim domestic architecture in Cairo. When was the Kiritleya house built and who were the owners of this place?
Here we have two houses where one of them was built by someone called Muhammad ibn Salim al-Jazzar and another one called by Abdul Qadir al-Haddad. And these two houses were after there another people lived inside both of them. Where before I said one of them date back to 16th century, where we are now. Another one in other side date back to 17th century AD. The houses, what this mean one of them date back to Ottoman time, another one date back to Mamluk time. And here also there was a lady called Amina bint Salim. She was lived in here. So also we have another name for this called Beit al-Kiritleya, where there are a lady from Crete lived in here, and the last name for this place called John Jair Anderson Museum. So here there were many people who were in any way were built by two persons, one of them called Muhammad ibn Salim and Abdul Qadir al-Jazzar, and after that a lot of people lived in, some of them from same families, some of them rent this from another people, but in any way the most famous name or the most famous people lived here, the lady from Crete Island, and also John Jair Anderson, where this was last person lived in this house. So to now this called the John Jair Anderson Museum.
What makes this place very special, and how is it being preserved by the ministry? I don't know if it doesn't belong to the Ministry of Culture. Yes, how do they preserve?
Or tourism and culture.
Especially that
Culture,
we've been told that this is one of the oldest areas, and Ibn Talun is actually the oldest mosque. Yeah. So how do they preserve such heritage?
When you look here, you have special administration for this place, where I told you this is now a museum. So here we have administration for everything. Administration to take care for the construction. And also this follow two different sectors. Islamic sector and also museum sectors. So Islamic sector, it is role to look for a building condition and they look for the construction, look for the art, but the museum administration looking for the fine or the small pieces inside, like furnitures, like windows, like all of the stuff, carpet, like metal stuff, like wooden pieces. So from time to another time, or each person here look for what he have in the museum and look in if any pieces need a restoration, they can restore this. If the construction itself need a restoration, they will be restored this. And also, I told you before about good cooperation between the museum and the British Embassy in here.
Sir, what is the major, of course, what is, who is, sorry, Geir Anderson, and what does history tell us about him, and how did he fall in love with Egypt until the end of his life?
Anderson, where he was born in England in 1881, and he came to Cairo here 1908, and he started his job doctor in the British Army, and he also did the same job in Egyptian Army, a doctor for the Egyptian Army. And when he coming to Egypt, he loved Egypt, and he lived in Islamic area, and he have seen the two houses here, and he asked the government to give him the two houses to live in, where he was lived in here between 1935 to 42, and he during this time he collected a lot of stuff from different countries, where he attended to here Egyptian pieces from ancient Egyptian art. For example, we find a lot of, or some Egyptian statues here, some Egyptian mosques here, some false beard, and also attended Greek-Roman pieces, Islamic pieces, like some also ancient Egyptian art and Islamic art, and also he brought Chinese art, British art. Also, he attended a lot of pieces from Islamic Cairo, because he always looking for a market in this time, and if he found any pieces have good art or nice pieces, he attended the pieces in here. And after that, when he left Egypt, and he had sad feeling because he loved Egypt too much and he wanted to die in here, but he left Egypt and to England, and he was died in England in 1942.
This is or Beit al-Kratliya, as it's also called. How does it help in terms of tourism and people to come and visit? Do they open it for the public? Is it open for certain hours? How do they get to know around the history of this place, whether it's in terms of the different rooms that are relating back to different cultures and countries, or the era itself where it was built in?
The museum, when you look, sure, just like any other museums, they were open during all of the week. And also sometime, no, they open this for extra time to 9 o'clock in 2 times a day, 2 times a week. And also when you look, no, they put a plan for the visitors, how they can see all of the rooms where they have here tour road or tour way, where anyone go from entrance or from one place in or from one house, he have a chance to see all of the rooms, because the rooms one after each other, and he start his tour from this house, and the tour end with another house. During the walkway between the 2 houses, he can see inside the 2 houses, the visitors can see everything. And this one, or the museum, open for both, for the local people and for the visitors, where a lot of local people started now to know this place, and also a lot of visitors coming from different countries to visit the location, because now this have a great sound around the world, and a lot of people know this place.
Okay, sir. The house is divided into 2 halves, the Haramlik, or the family residence, and the Salamlik, also known as the guest house. What are the other sections and rooms of the house?
Yeah, when we look, sure, we find here Haramlik, where this for women, and Salamlik, and also another rooms in different people, in both houses, where we find here some rooms called celebration room, because they have a celebration place here. If they have any celebration, they can use this in this room. And also we have another room called a Chinese room, where inside this room some Chinese furniture. And also we have another room called Syrian room, where Anderson attended some furniture from Syria and showing this in here. And also we have another room here called Ottoman room, where we can see some furniture date back to Ottoman period. And we have a small gallery here for some ancient Egyptian art inside this museum. And also we have another room called writing room, and another one another room for writing, and another one for reading. So different rooms in this museum.
Mr. Yasser Hamdi Sebeik, of course, we always have the pleasure to have you with us in our episodes of Nile Cruise. Informative knowledge. We thank you so much for your informative knowledge, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Of course, you're a monument inspector, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Dear viewers, this was this segment of Nile Cruise. Stay with us. We have more for you coming up here, still on Nile Cruise.